Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10 Quick Hit Podcast to get you ready for the day. I'm Jason Mackey, of course. It is May 7th, Tuesday, here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, well, we had a newsy Monday, a lot to talk about. Going to get into a lot of Paul Skenes talk after Derek Shelton said that the number one overall pick from last summer's draft was scheduled to pitch in Indy later this week. That seemed to get a reaction. I'll weed into those get down into those comments. But first, want to remind you that we are sponsored, as always, by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to love baseball to love it there. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So we were at PNC Park on Monday. I actually asked the question of Shelton. I was just kind of curious how he would respond. I had been getting some intel that Paul was likely to pitch this weekend, or the expectation was for him to pitch this weekend, maybe in Indy. At least that's the initial expectation. So I wanted to ask Shelton and see where he was at with that. And you heard what he said, that he was scheduled to pitch in Indianapolis. It was an afternoon, honestly, for me at the ballpark of trying to figure out what Shelton was saying and what is going to happen with Paul and when he's going to be up here and all that. And I mean, it's tough. As a reporter, as a columnist, as somebody who's been attached to this thing from the very beginning, like, you're getting, at least I'm getting, two schools of thought. There's one that, they're not going to do it quite yet. And I think that's rooted in suspicion and what the Pirates have done in the past, bringing guys up in mid-June. Henry Davis, O'Neill Cruz can be cited as two examples. I would present, and this is what takes me to the other line of thinking, along with talking to people who are close to the situation and have their own knowledge of it. But I don't think you can do that with Paul Skenes. And it's why I think, ultimately, to not bury the lead here, that he is going to be starting at PNC Park this weekend. I will get to a little bit more about what I know, but at the root of it, this is what I keep coming back to. He has nothing to gain in the minor leagues. I understand what the Pirates have tried to do. I honestly don't have an issue with it. And for people that want to just accuse them of, manipulating this or that, or, I see like service time manipulation, or they're trying to be cheap. Like, they're not saving any money right now. They made a business decision that at least for keeping him down 15 days at the beginning of the year, they better their chances of preserving an entire, an extra year of club control by preventing him from reaching a full year of service time. Now, that's obviously going to be convoluted if he comes up here and finishes in the top two of the NL Rookie of the Year voting. We'll find out. I would like Paul's chances. I'm not sure how much of a factor that is in the decision, to be honest with you. I mean, what they've tried to do is slow play this, and they probably should. A comp that I keep hearing about is Steven Strasburg when he made his MLB debut. And if you remember correctly, Strasburg came up, and then they had to shut him down late in the season. I think the Pirates, whether you agree with it or not, fashion themselves as being reasonably competitive late in the season. And I don't think they want to have probably their best pitcher, one of their best pitchers, be shut down at that point. So how do you sort of protect against this? Well, Paul Skenes threw about 130 professional innings last year, and you're going to figure probably not much more than about a 20-inning increase year over year. I mean, that's not a Pirates thing. That's across Major League Baseball. So if you assume that he's going to throw 150 or so innings, you're going to cut out a month plus, which they will have done. That goes a long way toward that. You're probably going to be conservative with him in some instances. You're going to see them treat him just like Jared Jones. So let's talk logistically a little bit more about what the Pirates have going on. If they don't start him right now, they're on the road next week in Milwaukee and Chicago. Not going to start him on the road. Why would you do that? So then you're left the call. Like, did they start him on a weeknight game at home against the Giants? I don't know. There's a weekend series. Forget who it's against after that. But, I mean, at that point, you're talking about like 3 more weeks through the rotation at AAA, or 3 more turns through the rotation at AAA, possibly. I don't see that happening. And I keep coming back to the idea that he is not a minor league pitcher. He's just not. You watch him work in spring. You watch him work now, getting to know him, like ability-wise, maturity-wise, how he prepares, all this stuff. It's not on a minor league level. Now, if you want to keep him down in the minor leagues to monitor his innings to get to a certain point, I understand that. You certainly want to protect his arm. I think they're doing the best thing they can for that. But we're at the point where there's not much more to gain. The build, as I understood it, needed to get to at least 5 innings, 75 pitches. He's done both of those things. Made his last start on, we'll say, regular rest, 4 days of rest, which would be regular if he was up in the major leagues. And he was a little bit shorter on a pitch count. I do think this is how it's probably going to go. Indianapolis was off on Monday. He's going to show up on Tuesday. They're going to talk to him. They're going to see how he feels. Probably, try to make as much of an educated assertion. I won't say guess because nobody's guessing, but you're trying to use intel to see how he's going to feel come this weekend. I don't expect there to be any issues. Everything I've heard about Paul is he's ready, and he was ready yesterday. He does everything within his power to put himself there. He's pitched that way to deserve that promotion. Again, what Derek Shelton said, to tie it back to the beginning of the conversation, is he's scheduled to pitch. Probably an operative word. He's still scheduled to pitch. That doesn't mean he's going to pitch. He could just as easily come up here and pitch on Saturday, and maybe go Jared Jones on Friday. Who knows? But they could easily do that, and they're probably not going to do that this early in the week, to be honest with you. That creates a bunch of questions around a clubhouse. Think about it. Paul Skenes is coming up. On the outside, that's great. Everybody's excited. Fans get to buy their tickets, etc. The minute they find out Paul Skenes is coming up, you're thinking, if you're the last guy in the rotation, what does that mean for me? The last guy in the bullpen, what does that mean for me? There's all this anticipation. You're putting it in Paul's head, making him overthink it a little bit. If you just wait a couple of days, Derek Shelton didn't have that luxury when he was asked the question, so he said he's scheduled to pitch, which is not a lie. But if you come to him on Wednesday or Thursday, meaning Skenes, and say, you're going to Pittsburgh, you're pitching on Saturday, I think that's what Paul expects too, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. Like watching him after his last start sort of doff his cap, the way the Indianapolis announcers were talking about, like there's so much smoke there, and it makes so much sense. So I just don't totally understand why at this point we would back it off, say no, you're going to make 3 more starts in the minor leagues. I don't believe that. I do think later in the week he's probably going to find out that he's going to Pittsburgh. It's going to be cool to see that, to see the reaction and all that stuff. But it's obviously going to be a monumental event on the North Shore as well. As far as Monday night's game, I thought it was one of the better ones we've seen lately. Kind of tough to disagree with a complete game from Mitch Keller. One of the best games we've seen him pitch. A lot of the pitch mix and the cutter usage. This goes back to something I've said a lot about Mitch Keller too. He needs to stick with the sinker every time he goes away from it. And I'm not even quite sure why he does. That's when he runs into issues. When he stays with the mix the way it looked like against the Diamondbacks, it was fantastic. The Pirates got just enough offense too. Edward Olivares, grand slam. They're digging their way out of this offensive slump. And it's sort of a microcosm of what they have going on right now, where the starting pitching has been so darn good. And that's not what we expected early in the season, but it has really given them a chance. Their record should be better than it is right now because of what they've gotten from the starting pitching and because of what they haven't gotten from the offense. But if they can get 4 runs, I mean, look at their record when they get 4 or more runs. I think it's like 14-1, something like. It's really good. It's really lopsided. So they're not asking anybody to do a ton. The bullpen's been outstanding. The starting rotation's been outstanding. You just need a little bit more offense from key sources. Edward Olivares is a little bit of that, but still need to be cognizant of what O'Neal Cruz is doing. Brian Reynolds at bats have looked a lot better. He had a double. It just looks way more comfortable at the plate ever since changing a few things there. But I like what Keller did. I thought Keller made a pretty cool statement. It was a neat story too. My column today was on Cole Tucker, the former Pirate. But, I walked in there, I was going down to the Angels clubhouse, and I walked right past Cole Tucker and Mitch Keller. I wrote a little bit about that in the column. But they are very, very good friends. They've become even better friends as Cole Tucker was DFA'd and has kind of bounced around, but, at each other's weddings, in each other's weddings. And I maybe it's the conspiracy theorist in me or whatever, just knowing these guys. Like, I know there was part of Mitch that wanted to shove with Cole Tucker on the other side. And he certainly did that. It's also easy to root for Cole. He is one of the best guys I've covered on this beat. I know you've probably heard that a lot. It's in my column. I don't really hide it. Like, just what a wonderful human being, happy person, beloved by everybody and just continuing to grind it out. I found him in the Angels clubhouse and I said, with all due respect, like the life you've got, the stuff you're doing, you've bounced around, like you just give this up and you keep going. Why? And he gave a great answer. You'll read in the column. And I respect the heck out of that. It's basically, as long as I can do this, I want to try and do this. And I told Cole, and I'll tell you guys, like if I was in that situation, I would probably do it too. You only get so many years where you could try to pursue that dream. And he is. Wish him the best. He's a really good kid. That does it for me today. A lot of Paul Skenes talk, but that's kind of the topic around the Pirates right now. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of these videos, podcasts from me, as well as our other Post-Gazette writers. And we'll talk to you again, same time, same place tomorrow.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.